Very good evening to everyone. Welcome to yet another session of the UCT Virtual Open Week. With us this evening is Lesejo Modutle from the Disability Services and Yumna Seadat from the Survivor Support section of our office, and myself from the Student Capacity Building stream. And Nolu Tando, who is in charge of accessibility, will be assisting us with moderation and the Q&A session. We are from the Office for Inclusivity and Change, and we are tasked with responding to transformation and inclusivity at the University of Cape Town. And our talk this evening is on transformation through inclusion, looking at sexual and gender-based violence survivor support, peer education, and disability services. Ms. Lesejo Modutle is speaking about disability services, and Mrs. Yumna Seadat will be speaking about survivor support, and I will be covering peer education. Thank you very much. Lesejo, over to you.
So as Stella has introduced me, my name is Lesejo Modutle, and I'm the Disability Advocacy Specialist at the Disability Services at UCT, which is part of the Office for Inclusivity and Change, also known as the OIC. Now, it is worth mentioning that UCT follows an inclusive education approach, which means that as a workplace and a learning institution, the university progressively realizes the human rights of staff and students with disabilities through accessible education, infrastructure, and language. I'm going to take you through the portfolio of the staff members of the Disability Service, but I must mention that the staff members work towards the creation of a discrimination-free and inclusive environment in which students and staff with disabilities are able to enjoy a full, independent and effective participation in all aspects of university life. So although we create much support, we also do it in a way that promotes independence. Now, my portfolio is Disability Advocacy Specialist. This means that I establish a strong human rights culture around disability on campus or off campus, like RAISE, and right now we're going online, or we are online rather, and I do so through disability education and inclusion, disability-related information gathering and advocacy, and I also assist students with the NSFAS applications or any other bursaries that are being offered to students with disabilities. Ms. Nolutando Ntsimango teacher is our barrier-free access specialist. Now, she ensures barrier-free access for people with mobility impairments or those that are wheelchair users. As you know, UCT is built on a mountain, so getting around in a wheelchair or if you have mobility difficulties might be challenging. So when first years come to campus, Nolutando will orientate them on accessible routes. So we are able to provide you with the support so that you can navigate yourself around campus. She also assists students that are deaf with specialized equipment, as well as those that use hearing aids. Denise Oldham is the Direct Services Specialist. Now, she assists students that are blind and those with visual impairments. She does, though, by supporting them with assistive software such as JAWS, Zoom Text, Print Magnifier. She also converts your study material into Braille, and also manages the human support, which is made up of student volunteers, scribes, and real-time data captioners, as well as note takers if you happen to have handwriting difficulties. We have a clinical psychologist in the Disability Service, and she provides support to students who have learning difficulties as well as mental health concerns. Now, UCT has adopted the mental health policy, which guides us on how to support students with mental health concerns. And I've put up this meme of a lady trying to stop time because Beulah assists those who need extra time with their tests and exams. We have a sign language interpreter, and it's important to stress that she is fully qualified and trained, and also she does South African Sign Language. Now, each country has its own sign language, so naturally in South Africa we use South African Sign Language, and she ensures that she provides the deaf with full access to communication. So everything that hearing people hear, deaf people will also hear. And I've put this meme up here to remind you of what happened at the Nelson Mandela funeral, where we had a sign language interpreter who wasn't real. He was dubbed the fake interpreter. He wasn't trained, he wasn't professional, and it ended up being quite an embarrassment for South Africa. So at UCT, we ensure that our interpreters are fully trained and none of that will happen. We have an administrative assistant, Cedric Williams. Now he's in charge of our administrative tasks as well as the disability accessible bus schedule. I will touch on the disability accessible bus in the later slides, and he is also in charge of our finances. Our manager who ensures that everything is running very smoothly is Ms. Edwina Gall. Let me take you through the overwork of some of the work that we do. We provide disability sensitization training at UCT. And we also create a platform for students with disabilities to share their own real life experiences. Some of the stories that have been shared are a blind student who's not able to study because his faculty did not send his study material on time to the disability service in order for us to convert it into Braille for him. We also have a wheelchair user who was being shunned for being late for class when in fact it was the lift that was being an issue. Now these stories are shared with lecturers to create awareness and also to ensure that the same mistakes do not reoccur. There I am providing sign language interpreting in class for a deaf student. I'm also a fully trained professional sign language interpreter. And there is Denise Oldham, who is our direct specialist, providing specialized equipment for students who have visual impairments. This equipment was given to the students free of charge. We also do psychometric testing. We have a psychometrist. Her name is Morgan Jones. So if you believe that you have a specific learning disability, some students are not aware that they have this, but they come to campus very stressed because they remember that in high school, they were struggling to complete their tests on time. So they weren't quite sure what was happening. They'll come to us, we'll give them the test. And if we do find that you do have a specific learning disability, we also recommend the kind of support that you'll be needing from us as well as from your faculty. The disability accessible transport that I promised I would touch on is provided to students who are wheelchair users as well as those with mobility impairments. You are able to get onto the transport with ease and independently. It takes you from where you are staying, if you're staying within 10-kilometer radius of campus, or if you're staying in res, it will pick you up from your campus, from where you are, bring you to campus, take you to all your classes and back again. We also provide you with transport if you have medical appointments or if you need to do your monthly groceries. As staff members of the Disability Service, we are trained in health and safety. So here we are undergoing training on how to evacuate people with mobility impairments and those that are wheelchair users out of a building that has stairs in case of emergency such as a fire. We also participate in parasport, which is tons of fun. So there we are. On the left, we are playing goalball, which is a sport specifically for blind users and people with with visual impairment. And on the right is wheelchair rugby for persons who are in wheelchairs. However, we do promote integration. So our sport is not only for persons with disability, but also those without. We provide students with support throughout their university journey up until they graduate. So there we are giving various of support at graduation for our students. We are assisting one that's in a wheelchair, and if you are in a wheelchair, there is a hoist available, as you can see in this picture over here, where we hoist you onto the stage so that you can also get capped just like all the other students are. On the right, we have a student who is blind, and she was allowed to go onto stage with her service dog or her guide dog. We also provide sign language interpreting services at graduation. This is if you are a student who is deaf, or if you have any relative or friend that's coming to cheer you on graduation day and they are deaf, sign language interpreting services will be provided for them. Please do visit us. When we are back on campus, we'll be on the 6th floor in the Steve Biko's Students' Union building. Or you can hop onto our website, www.oic.uct.ac.za. Follow us on Facebook, UCT OIC, or on Twitter at UCT OIC. Feel free to email us if you have any questions or you'd like to clarify any information. Our email address is disabilityservice@uct.ac.za. And alternatively, you can give us a call, 650-2427. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Thank you, Lesejo. Over to you, Yumna, for your presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yumna. I'm the Survivor Support Specialist at the OIC. I assist survivors or anyone who is exposed to any form or degree of sexual violence and domestic violence. Some of the reports or incidents that we get relates to rape, sexual assault, attempted sexual assault, threat of sexual assault, sexual harassment, domestic violence, assault, harassment, intimidation, as well as discrimination. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to take you through what my role is and how I support complainants and survivors, as well as the reporting processes that I assist in. So we'll go through the OIC and the services that I provide at the OIC, as well as the reporting processes. So the first step is to create an online case report. Sometimes complainants or survivors feel more comfortable to reach out to me directly before they do the online case report. Either or is fine. The online case report is stored in a system that is secure, it's password protected, your information is confidential. I receive the report directly and it's not shared unless you proceed with the reporting process, and it would be shared then to the appropriate person or with the appropriate person. So this is what the front page would look like if you have to go to casereporting.uct.ac.za. Anyone can report, whether you are affected directly or indirectly. You can report the matter to UCT. You can report a matter that relates to a respondent who is the alleged perpetrator, that is a UCT student or is a UCT staff member, or is unknown to you, or is even an external member of that, being a member of the public, and I will still be able to assist you and offer you my support. So let's go through some of the support that I do offer and what the process looks like. The first step, as I said, would be the online report. As I mentioned, all your information is confidential. I would receive it and make contact with you. Our first consultation is roughly about 60 minutes, sometimes just slightly over 60 minutes. And the breakdown of that is 30 minutes counseling, so that we ensure that you are feeling safe, that you do feel comfortable to talk about what you're reporting or what you've experienced. And then the remainder of the session, which is the second half, we would do an assessment intake. Now, in an assessment intake, we would review what you've experienced, and we would discuss what are your specific needs and requirements. So we would then review, would you like to proceed with reporting this incident? And which reporting processes could you follow and can you follow, which I'll discuss in my second slide. We would also discuss what are some of the specific needs you require. For example, letters for compassionate consideration with your lecturers. Maybe we need to reach out to your residence warden or your sub-warden. Maybe we need to arrange for some funding for you to travel to and from, if you're doing an external report from the court, back to UCT, etc. It's all case specific. Whatever needs you have, I will assist in making the process easier for you or a bit more manageable. Then we'd have additional consultations throughout your reporting process, where we would discuss in-depthly what UCT reporting processes are and what you can choose to follow, what are external processes, which one would you like to go with. If you choose to report further, then we would work on your statement formulation to ensure that it's detailed as possible, that it's coherent, and that it's a strong statement for you to proceed with the route you've chosen. I would also provide you feedback on your case in terms of where it is at in terms of investigation or being referred to a different department, or whatever else you need. Basically, you could think of me as your one-stop person to provide you with updates and information. And then, of course, additional referrals to student wellness or student housing or to the finance department or sometimes to disability service, whatever is specific to you and your matter. So I'm going to move on to discussing psychosocial and on-site support that we offer at the OIC. It's important to note that we are strictly survivor-centered and we have non-directive counseling, which I undertake. The other thing that's important to note is that it's up to you whether you would like to receive counseling or not. So we offer individual counseling at the OIC. I'm also able to refer you to student wellness if you would like to see a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist or a GP, as well as other external lay counseling services such as Seadat, Lifeline, Rape Crisis, and again, to reiterate, specific to your incident, specific to your needs and what makes you feel comfortable. We also offer debriefing. Most of the time, the debriefing occurs when survivors or complainants are reporting the matter further. So debriefing would occur, for example, if there's a case update or if we need to deliver a verdict or if we need to provide clarity on something in your statement. Usually debriefing would occur in those instances just to ensure you that you are supported, for me to check in with you to ensure that, you know, the reporting process is going at a pace that you're comfortable with. We also have survivor support groups. It occurs every Tuesday evening on Microsoft Teams. The group is based on experiential learning and trying to understand or unpack your trauma that you've experienced, trying to make sense of it, and most importantly, to empower you throughout your healing journey. Then lastly, we have the OIC standby line. This is a 24-hour call and on-site assistance. So as long as your matter is relating to anything or any degree of sexual violence or domestic violence, our standby advisor is able to come out to you to offer you assistance. For example, on-site assistance would be to transport you to the hospital or to the police station, to get you to safety, etc. We would explain all the procedures that you need to do or follow depending on what incident you've experienced. You can also call the standby line if you have any queries or you're unsure about what you've experienced and you just need some clarity on it. You can call the standby line as well. I'll give you the standby line. It's on my last slide, which we're almost at. So now the complicated part, which most of the questions and the queries come from, is the reporting processes. So if you are a UCT student or staff member, and the respondent is a UCT student or staff member, then we're able to offer you a UCT informal process or formal process. So I'm going to break the two down for you. An informal process means the OIC is requesting on behalf of you to the respondent to complete something. So your request could be in an informal process asking that the respondent get a warning about the incident you've experienced. You may request that the respondent apologize to you or write a formal letter of acknowledgement. You can request to have a mediation dialogue with the respondent, or you can request that the respondent engage in an educational program. However, the respondent may choose to decline this request as there are no formal charges drawn up against the respondent. So if you choose to proceed with a formal process, that means that you're not requesting, you're actually saying that you would like an evidence leader to evaluate your statement to examine if there are grounds for charges based on disciplinary processes and the sexual harassment policy at UCT. So there, when you choose that route, if there is evidence and grounds for charges, then the respondent is obligated to proceed with the process. So if there's grounds for any charges, the respondent would be summoned with the charges, and then there'll be a pre-hearing meeting where the respondent will have to plead either guilty to the charges or not guilty. If the respondent pleads not guilty, it will go to a disciplinary hearing where there'll be a panel that will decide on the respondent's plea, basically confirming or sentencing him for a non-guilty verdict or a guilty verdict. So the sentencing is case specific as well. It is dependent on the nature of the offense that was committed. And then if the respondent is a UCT student, the matter will be handled by the ad hoc tribunal, which is a specialized tribunal for sexual offenses. And if the respondent is a UCT staff member, it will then be handled by the HR and Employee Relations Department. Now, regardless of the two reporting processes at UCT, we also offer a no contact order as long as the respondent is affiliated to UCT. This essentially means that you would like to limit the risk and the exposure to bumping into that respondent or sharing a space with that respondent. So a no contact order, if it is granted, and I would put in that application as well for you, is that the respondent can't come close to you or approach you on UCT campus grounds. The respondent wouldn't be able to share the same lecture hall or other shared spaces with you, including your residence. So we would put all those requests that are specific to your needs. So as I was saying, that the no contact order would cover UCT campus grounds, lecture halls, any shared spaces, residences, and would put in special requests that you have as a survivor or complainant to limit your interaction with the respondent. Now to move on to an external matter of reporting. That would be with SAPS and the FCS unit. So basically, it's important to know that you can have an external reporting process as well as a UCT reporting process at the same time. You can also choose one or the other. In cases where the respondent isn't a UCT student or staff member, then we can only offer you support through SAPS and FCS. So with that, you can either report your matter to FCS and SAPS, where you're saying you want to log a report, but you don't want to lay criminal charges. You can also report it by saying you would like to lay criminal charges. And then the other alternative is applying for a national protection order. In all three of these options, I am able to guide you and assist you and manage your expectations of what the process would be like, what information is required for you. For example, if you need to give a statement, we can arrange we can arrange for the detective to come to UCT campus grounds or to meet you at a place that you're comfortable at. I can accompany you to the Magistrates High Court in terms of national protection order. We can arrange with Rape Crisis for pre-trial and court support as well. So there's a range of services and support that we can offer to you, which we would determine as we engage with one another and review what your expectations are and needs are. So lastly, to reiterate that it is difficult to report sexual violence and gender-based violence. It comes with a range of emotions. The journey to reporting and healing is not linear. There's various emotions that you will feel. And to reassure you that we are survivor-centered, we are here to listen to you, to acknowledge you, and to best see how we can support you throughout your reporting process, as well as even if you're not continuing with the reporting process. So it's important to note that we know it's not easy, and we take it at your pace and how you are comfortable. You will never be pressured into following a specific route or what we think is best for you. It's all up to you, and we are just here to support you and guide you as best as we can. You can reach me directly on my email address, yumna@uct.ac.za. You can also call my office line, which is listed at the bottom. And then, of course, the standby line, which is 24 hours, that you can reach out to us. Thank you so much for your time and for listening to me and my presentation. And I hope to hear soon from you. Please don't hesitate to pop us with questions. Over to you, Stel.
So I'm Stella Musungu, and my portfolio is student capacity building. And I will just unpack what that entails. So the student capacity building stream basically focuses on peer education, which is coordinating the ACES peer education program. And ACES stands for Agents for Change Education. And these are student peer educators who lead inclusivity dialogues and workshops in both faculties and residencies. I also support student leaders and various student sectors in ensuring that their transformation goals are met. And so some of those sectors include the SRC, transformation reps, and all student leaders who are mandated to deliver a role in student leadership. The ACES program, approximately, we recruit over 30 ACES peer educators who then go through an induction training at the in October. We're actually having an induction training this month with the new group of ACES who will be selected. And at the start of next year, they come back to UCT where they engage in a refresher training prior to orientation week. These are some of the peer educators that have been on the program. When they join the program, they critically engage with issues around privilege, race, class, gender, bystander interventions, inclusion, and they develop transformation and leadership skills along their journey as peer educators. At the end of the year, they are recognized for leadership skills, and they work towards obtaining what we call the UCT Plus Award, which is an award that one gets for participating in extracurricular activities. The ACES play a key role in our orientation program, and during orientation, they hold dialogues around specific issues, and we have previously held meetings or conversations around HIV awareness and inclusivity sensitization sessions. We are given an hour during the orientation period, and we also look at gender norms and sexual consent, but basically how to create inclusive spaces at UCT. And so the orientation week aims to really give out as much information to first years around crucial issues, pertaining to sexual consent, gender-based prevention awareness, and also to help them recognize that they have a role to play in making UCT a more inclusive place to live. We also talk about the kind of language that they need to be using while addressing people on campus. Our ACEs also participate in a number of social justice campaigns. They have participated in campaigns around preventing violence against women, in campaigns about preventing marginalization of sexually diverse persons during our Rainbow Week. At UCT, we really welcome everybody. We really believe that it is an inclusive space in which every student and staff member can be and needs to be included all the time. A question came through about whether UCT accepts trans students. We have an inclusivity and sexual orientation policy that clearly states that any student who identifies as sexually diverse is part and parcel of the university space and is allowed to live, to study, and to be in the space. So we are an inclusive space. So absolutely trans students are accepted, gender non-conforming students are accepted, students who identify as heterosexual, homosexual, all students are welcome and staff are accepted at the UCT campus. The ACEs also have conversations in the residences, particularly in small groups with their peers, around topics related to, again, gender-based violence, sexual diversity, privilege and marginalization, how to dismantle rape culture, and also particularly how to report sexual assault. And they clearly share the protocol of how one can go about reporting a case if they experience one. Our program structure focuses on key training areas, supervision meetings, and we also have a number of workshop areas that the ACEs experience during the program. How do we know that we are achieving success? Well, we look at the number of peer educators we've recruited, the number we've maintained on the program, the training sessions we have conducted, and how many students we have reached during orientation week, which is a very big opportunity for us to reach new students. So I mentioned earlier that the student capacity building stream not only coordinates a peer education program, but we also train student leaders. You're looking at leaders on house committees, sub-wardens, student representative council, in specific social justice intersectional areas of HIV, GBV, class, sexual diversity, privilege, and marginalization. In terms of measuring impact, we believe that in the next 5 years, we'd love to look at how the peer educators have changed in terms of transfer of knowledge. Have they learned anything on the program? Has the program influenced their ability to transfer knowledge? And have the people that attend the peer education program been able to learn anything and acquire any knowledge from the workshops that they attend. Thank you very much. That is it from me. If you need any information about any student-specific related issues or OIC-related specific matters, you can email our director on director@oic.uct.ac.za. It's been such a pleasure for us to share with you what the Office for Inclusivity and Change addresses at UCT, and we hope that you will be able to reach us through the various contact details that we have provided. I don't know if any of my colleagues have any questions or would like to address anything.
Yes, thank you so much, Stella. A question has come through from Kat. I'd just like to let everyone know that we've got about 2 more minutes. So now is the time to ask any questions if you do have any. Kat asked, will she be given a chance to learn sign language? Currently, we do not offer sign language at UCT, but we are talking about it, we are discussing it, and if there are more people who are interested, they can email us, because, you know, if there is a demand, then I'm sure we can make sure that it happens. So yeah. Do email us, disabilityservice@uct.ac.za, requesting for sign language classes, and we can get back to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Lesejo and Yumna, for sharing your specific areas of specialization. And thank you to every single one who joined us this evening. Have a good night. Bye-bye.